inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything.
How we doing, vetters? Hope everyone's doing okay. We are going to be live streaming, hopefully, this press conference here in just about 10 minutes. All right. So I have a clip that I wanted to show. Before we get started, because Comer did a little news segment and kind of explained a little bit about what's going to be in this press conference. And I thought we should take a look at that before we start. And we just pregame, right? Just making sure. So I've got all the links here set up. So hopefully as soon as that clock hits, again, in 10 minutes here, 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern, we will jump into this press conference with, and let's take a look at the details, y'all. Shout out to all the veterans. Shout out to all the mods. Thank you guys in the live chat. All right, look, got this pulled up. So this is kind of on their website, right? Their press release that they released yesterday, right? Let's read it here. So it says, Chairman Comer and Representative Luna to hold press conference on new Oversight Committee task force. House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform Chairman James Comer and Representative Anna Paulina Luna will hold a press conference on Tuesday, February 11, 2025 at 3 p.m. to announce a creation of a new Oversight Committee task force of national interest, right? And let's get to this clip so we can talk about it. See, did that work? Okay, boom. All right, here we go.
I am sure you're not going to be able to break the news before the press conference, but can you at least give us a bit of a runway into what's about to happen at 3 p.m. today?
Well, we're trying to do what I think just about every American wants, and that's to force the government to be more transparent with the American people. There are lots of questions we have about, everything ranging from the JFK assassination to whether or not the government has any knowledge of UFOs that has been concealed. And one of the things that Tucker Carlson said that I don't know that I agree with, he may be right, but I don't know, when he says the CIA directors knew. I don't know if these deep state bureaucrats even tell their superiors, because they have the attitude that superiors come and go. There'll be a Republican administration, there'll be a Democrat administration, and they may know. But I believe that in these deep state agencies, whether it's the CIA, whether it's the FBI, whether it's the Department of Justice, the IRS, even, I believe that you have these high-ranking career bureaucrats that have never been held accountable, that they make the decision as to what a director can have, what a president can have, and maybe they can't handle the truth. And you've just got a situation where people like me and most Americans have no trust or confidence in a lot of government agencies. And we have a lot of questions that I don't think have ever been answered. And we want to work with the Trump administration, who has stated, and I believe their statement, that they want to be transparent, that they want to let the American people know what the government knew and when they knew it about lots of issues and areas, right, ranging from presidential assassinations to September the 11th, and lots of activity. So that's what we want to do. We want to work closely. Representative Luna is going to be in charge of a task force that will be focused on trying to get the American people the truth about a whole menu of items that I think if you poll, the most Americans are curious about.
A whole menu, huh? Now you're talking my language. So there we have Comer. Representative Luna is going to be heading up this task force. You've heard it there, right? Boom. I think a lot of people are going to be excited about that. Now, just like with anything, you know, until the task force starts performing, it's going to be hard to judge it, right? I mean, essentially, right? There's really no way to judge. It's like when they announce a new actor that's going to play some part, you know, in a movie that's like, oh, he's going to suck. And then, you know, you wait until then the movie comes out, like, oh, he's pretty good, right? You never know. So we'll have to wait and see, you know, what this task force can do, what it's going to be about. And hopefully this press conference that starts in 7 minutes, we'll be able to get some answers. Because with anything like this, especially a task force like this, through the oversight committee, what limitations does she have? What powers does she have to go find answers, right? Or whatever. We don't know what the purpose is exactly. Like, what are her tasks, right? What is the checklist she is laying out? People are saying UAPs, right? JFK files, other things, right? COVID-19, I heard, some other things, right, that they want to find. But most people here, of course, unvetted, we are concerned with UAPs, right? How far can she take that? Like, what exactly could she do? You know, get more files released, work with Arrow better, like what, you know, hold hearings, get hearings maybe more approved quickly, or I don't know. Like, what is the purpose? To investigate, to uncover, to resolve, right? What is the purpose of this task force? Is it just to investigate and then say, hey, something's going on over here, somebody needs to do something about it? Or is she the somebody that's going to do something about it? Does that make sense? All right, they're like, what does this task force mean exactly? Or is it the whole kit and caboodle, right? Investigate, prosecute, you know, final resolution, right? Or is she just one part of that process? I don't know. It'd be interesting to hear and get more information about this. Of course, I'm speculating. All right, we got 5 minutes. Let me check the links here. Just make sure they haven't. Sometimes they'll go live ahead of time. Yeah, still waiting. All right, guys. Yeah, 5 minutes. And, you know, they could start a couple minutes late. So everyone relax. A shout out to James Worrow, became a YouTube member. Link in the description if you want to become a YouTube member. What if I just promoted the whole time? I just muted the press conference for all you 1,300 people watching. I just muted it, and then I'm just promoting my stuff this whole time. Yeah, that wouldn't be good. All right, let me one check here, y'all. All right, we'll come back to it. Seems I'm gonna do one thing here just to make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay. All right. So, yeah. All right, look, let's go to some speculation here about this task force, right? Again, for new people joining us, Representative Anna Paulina Luna out of Florida will be holding a press conference with Chairman Comer to announce a brand new task force, right? That Luna will be heading up. I said that weird. Heading up. We just heard James Comer on a video announce that she will be heading up this task force, and it is allegedly, and I think that is going to be the case. UAP is a part of it. How much of the pie is it? Right? How much of her duties will be UAP focused? That is left to be decided, but I am fairly confident to say that UAPs will definitely be a part of that. She was quoted as saying it's bigger than aliens, meaning it was going to cover more than just aliens about transparency, but, you know, UAP is a part of it. And people like Luna, right? People like her. And she's been a strong advocate for UAP transparency for quite a while, going back to even David Grush's bombshell testimony in the summer of 2023, y'all. Holy cow, we'll be coming up on 2 years this summer. So again, what sort of impact will this task force have? We'll know with time. I'm curious what they're going to announce and what exactly they're going to talk about. I hope they take some questions from people. I guess that would be what I would ask. What actually is the purpose of this task force? Is it just to highlight things? Are they just a flashlight, right? To sort of point stuff out that needs help? Or are they the help? Or are they both, right? Again, how much power will they have, right? What things will be put in their way? How much help will Luna have? Is she just expected to do it with her staffers and that's it? Or will she be allotted a budget? Who knows? Khan, what's up, Khan? Khan says Fox News explained an hour ago that she will head a task force about all federal secrets, JFK, MLK, UAPs. Was it the chicken first or the egg? Yeah. That is a secret. Yeah, exactly. And exactly. So all these different things, right? I heard even COVID was a part of it, but to what, like, how big of the pie is UAPs going to be, right? And what's she going to tackle first? But great point, Con. Thank you for bringing that up. Shout out to Andre becoming a YouTube member. What's up, Andre? I know Andre from Discord, baby. All right. It is 2:00 right now. Refreshing. Okay, hang on. We're going here. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to bring it up. Boop. Got some music. Just going to bring that down a little. I'll bring it up when it's ready. All right, so we got the video, y'all. Shout out to everyone watching. We should be starting here any second, but we do have the video up. It is going. Connection's good. I will go full screen when this starts. Don't worry. Here it says, Chairman Comer and Congressman Luna hold press conference to make major announcement. I mean, they've been hyping this up, right? And she seems excited about it. Luna does. She seems excited to do something. And I say let her off the leash. I mean that respectfully. I mean it in a analogy, right? Let her off the leash. Let her do her thing. Let's see what she can do. This is awkward, right? This is just like, hey guys, what's up? How we doing? All right, should be starting any second. I'm sure they're just getting things ready. Mics, lights, who's going to talk. And again, I hope they do some questions and we learn a little bit about this task force. And I'm going to stay on after the press conference, depending on how long this is. I don't think it'll be that long. I'm going to stay on afterwards and kind of hang out and talk about it. So feel free to hang out with us and we'll do some live chat, get some questions in, that sort of thing. All right, do me a favor if you're watching, hit that like button. I don't ask anything. Just hit that like button on the video. That'll help out. We'll get more people to watch it. This is kind of a cool thing. Let's be real. This is kind of a cool thing. If it's everything they're saying it's going to be, right? This task force, that's what the announcement is. A task force headed up by Luna to investigate, UFOs, JFK, MLK. What did they say? Just, interesting topics, and promote transparency, right, from the government to the American people about some of these things. Are they going to see it like, I can already see the news, as I'm saying this out loud, the news is just going to be like, conspiracy task force, right? That's what they're going to call this. The conspiracy task force has been put together. Because if they, yeah, that's not going to be good. But, okay, here we go.
Thank you all for being here.
Oh, let me turn up the volume.
Today is a great day for transparency in America, because today I'm proud to announce the creation of the Task Force on the Declassification of Federal Secrets. This task force will be a part of the House Oversight Committee and led by the very talented and persistent Congresswoman from Florida, Anna Paulina Luna. During her time on the Oversight Committee, Representative Luna is a sledgehammer against government secrecy. She is committed to throwing open the windows for the American people to allow the sunlight of truth shine on the federal government. I can think of no better person in Congress to lead this task force than Representative Luna. Last month, President Trump signed an executive order to begin the process to declassify information on the assassinations of JFK, RFK, and MLK. This task force serves to build on President Trump's actions. For far too long, the American people have had reasonable questions of what their government, which they fund every day, keeps hidden about certain issues. And for far too long, the federal government has not answered these questions. This creates distrust in our institutions. That ends today. The voters of this nation delivered a historic mandate to President Trump on November 5th. The keystone of that mandate was demanding increased transparency of their government and elected leaders. And the mandate of this task force is to acquire that transparency. We will open this up for questions from the media, but first I'd like to hand it over to my esteemed colleague and chairman of the new task force, Congresswoman Luna, for her remarks.
Thank you, Chairman Comer. When our founding fathers stood against tyranny, they did not merely oppose taxes. They defended the sacred idea of individual sovereignty. They declared that no government, agency, or title could infringe upon the freedoms of speech, religion, thought, and the pursuit of truth. For too long, the American spirit has been dimmed by a veil of secrecy, by a government that has grown too comfortable in the shadows, denying us the transparency we deserve. But today, we stand at the dawn of a new era where the light of truth begins to shine through. A few weeks ago, President Donald Trump made a historic announcement. With the stroke of a pen, he committed to declassifying the files concerning the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a decision not just monumental, but pivotal. It is with profound honor that I have been entrusted by Speaker Mike Johnson and Chairman James Comer to lead the House Oversight Task Force on Declassification of Federal Secrets. Together with the help of the White House, our intelligence allies, the Department of Defense, the Department of Justice, we will be conducting investigations into the following: the assassinations of JFK, RFK, and Dr. Martin Luther King, unidentified aerial phenomena, also known as UAPs, unidentified submerged objects, also known as USOs, the Epstein client list, the origins of COVID-19, and the 9/11 files. This task force will be a beacon of bipartisanship. On the Republican side, Representatives Burchett, Boebert, Burleson, Crane, Gill, and Mace will be joining me, although I'd like to note that I'm expanding this to the entire governing body and will be allowing certain members to waive on. Our first hearing is set for March. The date will be announced soon, and we've already initiated close to a dozen communications with various agencies, to include Pam Bondi at the Department of Justice and the Secretary of State. This will no longer be a task force that makes bold promises only to fade into irrelevance or send strongly worded letters. This will be a relentless pursuit of truth and transparency, and we will not stop until the American people have the answers they deserve. We will cut through the bureaucracy, challenge the stonewalling, and ensure that the American people finally get the truth that they have been denied for too long. If we are to endure and thrive as a nation, we must restore trust through transparency. The American people must be trusted to think for themselves, to form their own judgments from the truth that they are entitled to know. We've been treated like children for too long and kept in the dark by those we elected to serve us. It is my solemn duty to begin mending this trust, to form a new relationship between the government and the governed. Let us embark on this journey together towards a government that does not serve, but one that enlightens. That does not just serve, but one that enlightens. Trust through transparency, that begins now. Without further ado, we'd like to open it up for questions, as I'm sure many of you have those. Hands up.
Thank you, Megan. Obviously, your goals are aligned with the administration's on the declassification of Martin Luther King and the Kennedys. How would you handle if you end up, whether it's President Trump or Attorney General Bondi or P&I Gabbard, if they disagree with what you're looking to declassify on a certain topic, whether it's UAPs or 9/11 or something like that? How would you handle if there's some stuff that they don't necessarily want to declassify?
Well, certainly, I think that they'd be supportive, being that they're advocating for this. But also, I want to remind the American people that this is bipartisan. There's also Democrats that are looking into answering these very questions. But certainly, we would share that information with the American people. This is about transparency. And I think, again, as I stated for far too long, there's been a massive push to keep the American people in the dark, and that ends today. Chairman?
The task force does not have subpoena power. I do. The task force is going to be subsidiary of the full oversight committee. So if we have to issue one, Congresswoman Luna, we'll discuss it and we'll take appropriate action.
But in full transparency, we have a great working relationship, as I stated earlier, with the White House, with the DOJ, with the Secretary of Defense, and the Secretary of State. The incoming FBI director, I think, will be very supportive. And we've also been told that the CIA director is very supportive. To put it in perspective, I think that this issue transcends not just one administration, but multiple administrations. And it hasn't been until now that we've been able to get people actually in positions of power that will push for transparency. Now, if I find that different entities in the various intelligence agencies are stonewalling us, I'm going to make that known to the American people. But as of right now, we are cautiously optimistic.
What's your priority list? Epstein, 9/11?
Our first investigation will be announced, but it's going to be covering on a thorough investigation into the John F. Kennedy assassination. And I can tell you, based on what I've been seeing so far, the initial hearing that was actually held here in Congress was actually faulty in the single bullet theory. I believe that there were two shooters, and we should be finding more information as we are able to gain access into the SCIF. Hopefully,
They asked her what her priority was.
Thank you for doing this. Have you identified the Democrats who will sit on the task force? And could you talk a little bit more about the role of Democrats in this?
Yeah, so again, this is a bipartisan commission. Remember, JFK
Role of
was a
Democrats. That's what they
Democrat.
asked.
RFK was a Democrat, and I'm sure that I think the entire conference has a question on what actually happened with Dr. Martin Luther King, but also UAPs. You guys know that that was the biggest bipartisan bicameral hearing that we've ever had, I think, in congressional history. I do not know who their members are yet. They've noticed it, but they're taking this very seriously. This is not a conspiracy theory investigating committee. We're actually looking to present truth to the American people. And it's in my opinion that no one person elected to office is more important or more qualified to look at the information that they've been hiding from us. And so we look to push for that transparency.
What sort of witnesses do you expect to have at your hearings? I know you said the first one's in March. That be department heads, former employees of various agencies.
Would you like to jump in?
So there's
Yeah, I
going
was
to be a
gonna say,
hearing in
based
March.
on
They're
what we're
asking what
actually looking
witnesses they're
to
going to
do
have.
with the JFK investigation. I'm looking to actually bring in some of the attending physicians at the initial assassination, and then also people that had been on the various commissions looking into, like the Warren Commission, looking into the initial assassinations. There's been conflicting evidence, and I think that even the FBI at the time reported some anomalies in the initial autopsy at Bethesda, Maryland. All of those, though, seem to have been rinsed and repeated in the media to push a certain narrative that we don't agree with. And so I think that in order to put to bed some of the theories that have been out there on John F. Kennedy, we have to know the full truth. And the full truth starts with transparency. And that's why these files is so important for the American people to read for themselves.
With this task force, what are you hoping to uncover as far as UAPs that you have not already heard from other UAPs?
The biggest
All right, this is a
information
UAP
problems that
question
we've
right
had
here.
with UAPs is the amount of stonewalling, stovepiping, and also it seems that there is this push to gaslight the American people into looking at the evidence and then not fully believing it. I think for us, if we're writing the budget, for example, into the Pentagon, if we're writing the budget overall for whatever programs might be out there, why is it that members of Congress who are given a top secret security clearance are being denied access? That's not a free and true government. And so for us, especially being that we have now a Secretary of State who's actually open to declassification and Marco Rubio, we're hoping to present that information and at least acknowledge it from a government perspective that we are not alone, but also let's see what the evidence is.
Thank you. Have you already been in contact with or started to send requests to these different agencies and federal departments for this information?
Yes, in fact, letters went
I
out this
couldn't hear
morning,
that.
not just on RFK, JFK, and MLK, but on everything that I had listed above to include UAPs, Epstein, and 9/11 and COVID, to the State Department, Department of Defense, CIA, and then also we'll be sending some to the FBI, and letters have also gone out to the NSA.
I can't hear
what's
the question.
interesting on that specific committee is what, to my understanding, when they actually brought in expert witnesses, they weren't actually people that were in attendance to the initial autopsy at Bethesda. But also, this is a bigger committee than just the JFK assassinations. We're also expanding into Epstein, COVID origins, 9/11s, and then UAPs and USOs. And so before, where we initially had some of these hearings, this is going to be an encompassing committee that's going to work directly with the White House on information that they're declassifying. Yeah. Mhm. Correct. Correct. There's actually 3 different government investigations into
can't hear the
JFK
questions.
assassination. But again, this committee is expanding not just there, but outwards into other fields. And again, we're working directly with the White House. In previous investigations, they didn't have access to the information that we are going to have access to. And so that's a big deal, especially if you're looking at what truly happened with JFK. I already have a top secret clearance. All members of Congress have a TSCI. The question is do we get SAP access, of which Chairman Comer has been very supportive, and we'll be getting SAP access as well. Okay, 2 more, and then we're going to wrap it up.
Obviously, some of the questions on some of these topics, whether it's Jeffrey Epstein or COVID-19, the questions are obvious. What specifically, though, are the questions you're looking to get answered with regards to September 11th?
We just want the truth. How much did the CIA know in advance? But also remember, when you have only certain information that's shared with the American people, that's when conspiracy theories happen. And it's in my opinion that conspiracy theories can be detrimental. It doesn't mean that in the last couple of months we haven't been right on a few things. But what I will say is I think that we deserve to give this information to the American people. I don't agree with the stonewalling that's occurred. And also, how do we prevent things like it from happening in the future? And we have to know the full picture, and the American people deserve to know that as well.
They asked her about 9/11.
I don't know what information DOJ would have, but I would encourage them, if they have anything on JFK, Epstein, or anything in between, that they bring it to our office immediately. Okay, 1 more, and then we'll wrap it up. Of course.
Well, we have a lot of questions. Some of the people in the mayor's administration have been vocal that they weren't going to comply with federal law, that they were going to continue to act as sanctuary cities. We want to know about coordination and communication they had between the previous administration. How did so many of these illegals get there? Who was paying for it? Who were they communicating with to be able to provide housing and so many other benefits to such a large population of people? Just the basic questions we all have. Who was paying for it? Who was leading the efforts to transport the illegals from wherever their entry point was in the United States to the sanctuary cities? And are the mayors going to comply with federal law now? Are they going to work with Tom Homan and the national security groups in the Trump administration to try to deport the criminal illegals and stop being a sanctuary city?
You feel less worried about Eric Adams himself considering his signal?
Worried about what?
Do we feel less worried about Eric Adams?
Eric Adams, I mean, he was one of the first mayors to bring up the bring up the crisis situation, the fiscal impact on the city. So I think he would be a very good witness, and we have a lot of questions for him, just like we do the other three mayors. So.
All right, one last question, then we're going to wrap it up. News Nation, let's go.
Can I ask you about your relationship with whistleblowers? Is it going to be the normal process that oversight typically does, or would this be? Are you going to create a separate avenue for the task force?
I mean, we're all about the normal
Whistleblowers.
process, but look, if you have information and it's credible, we've always approached it in that I'd like to be the person that does the interviews for it, mainly because, especially with stuff like this, we want to make sure that there's, you know, not bad actors that are pushing false information to create a narrative that's simply not there. And so, you know, every whistleblower that does come forward, as of right now, there's people that have been publicly out there, for example, on the JFK stuff, that were actually present in the room at the operating room where he was actually brought to right after the shooting. So we hope to bring those people in to testify. And again, these hearings will be open to the public. I am also expanding this to the entire conference. So if someone's going to take this seriously and look at it through an investigative lens and get answers for the American people, they are welcome to ask questions of the witnesses, and you guys will all receive notice of that.
And we'll work with anyone who currently works with the federal government that wants to declare whistleblower status and receive whistleblower protection, if that's what they're interested in doing. And I don't think they're going to face the type of retaliation that the previous administration gave whistleblowers, particularly the IRS whistleblowers that blew the whistle on the cover up of the Biden family.
And I'd also like to close with this. If you are an independent investigator, we are being told that the FBI has now located thousands of pages of documents that they lost before, specifically relating to JFK. We are going to get through as much as we can. We have a great team of attorneys. We have a great team of investigators looking into this, but it doesn't mean that we won't accept help from the public. And so we will be setting up a place for collection for people to present information. But again, this is about transparency. The government works for us. There have been people, I think, in power for too long that try to silo us and keep us in the dark, but that stops today. You're seeing that same message come out of the White House, out of the CIA, the FBI, and every other agency in between. So we are very happy to have the support of all of those individuals, happy to have the support of Chairman Comer and Speaker Johnson. And if you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to Oversight Comms, and we'd be happy to answer those at that time. Thank you, guys.
And boom. Well, there we go. That was the task force. What do we think, y'all? Thank you to everyone who tuned in to watch that. Let's go over some of the highlights I wrote down of this, right? So this news task force, headed up by Representative Luna. It turns out she's going to have a whole team, right, to help her. Their first hearing is going to be in March. It sounded like they were going to be talking about JFK. It was kind of hard for me to hear some of the questions myself, but it sounds like they're going to be focused on JFK first. But yeah, I'm just going to go through, my notes here. Again, Representative Luna heading up this task force centered around transparency. They're going to be investigating JFK, COVID. I heard 9/11, UAP, and USO, and she made sure to differentiate between those two, which I thought was interesting. Sounded like they brought up the borders a little bit too. I'm not sure if that was part of it. Again, I couldn't hear all the questions. But one thing that was interesting, she said all members of Congress have a top secret clearance. I didn't know that. So that's interesting. So she has a clearance. They've sent letters out to different agencies. She mentioned they're going to be sending some out to the NSA, basically for information that they have on all of this stuff, right? All these different events, if you will, that they want, right? Luna brought up the part about whistleblowers, right? Someone from News Nation brought up a question about the UAP whistleblowers, for instance. And she was mentioning that she wants to interview them, right? She wants to be the one to interview these whistleblowers. She also made a comment about how some of the whistleblower and people out there, she doesn't want any bad faith actors pushing a narrative, which maybe she thinks has happened with potential people that have come to see, members of Congress about UAP. Right. They kind of want to take control of that. which is good. And she kind of made a comment about maybe the press can ask some questions about to these whistleblowers or to certain people or certain things, or, you know, it's going to be interesting. This task force being about transparency, how transparent they are, right? That's what will be the interesting part. But it sounds like she wants involvement, right? She wants a two-way street because, again, she mentioned that even though the task force has a team and they're going to be doing this together, you know, she's saying that the public can help, and, you know, she's kind of putting a call out to any independent investigators that they'll be able to present, I guess, their findings, and they'll, you know, go through it. So that's good. All right. Involving the public. People want to help. Yeah. I mean, it was a short press conference, wasn't it? I mean, it was short. They didn't really talk too much about it. Cause again, it's one of those things of, I guess we'll see, but there is going to be a hearing in March. I guess I missed that in the beginning, but I heard her say that in one of the answers. But again, it sounded like they're focused on GFK. So I don't know when the UAP part will start. You know, it's one of those things, is everything just starting at once? You know what I mean? Like we're investigating everything all at once, or are they taking turns? Sounds like with the hearings they are. But that begs the question, when's the UAP hearing coming? Right? Maybe they want to take some time, get some stuff. Are whistleblowers going to be activated now to go see Luna and this task force rather than, let's say, Arrow, or just going to Congress, period, or whatever, right? Are they going to be, this is kind of interesting. It's sort of a new avenue for whistleblowers to go to, right? And I guess we'll see from the first whistleblowers that go how people are treated, how they're, right? Because that seems to always be the case. Let's say for Arrow, for instance, people would say, oh, I had a bad experience with Arrow, therefore it's not legitimate, right? So are people going to say this about this task force, right? I guess it will depend on what information they reveal. And what do they do with those whistleblowers? Is the idea to then just keep it all behind the scenes, or push them into a hearing, right? And I think that's what's going to be interesting is now all the UAP hearings just going to go through this task force. I don't know, right? This is interesting. It's interesting, right? I mean, clearly UAP is a part of it. She brought it up, and not just UAP, USO, right? Submerged objects. So clearly she's influenced by the idea of underwater activity, whether it be bases, you know, just objects underwater, you know. So this is interesting. I have to admit, this is kind of interesting. What she's going to do with it. It's one of those things we just have to wait and see, right? But clearly, again, UAP and USO is a part of this task force that Representative Luna will be heading up. And when does it start? Is it just now? Let's go. Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see, right? We'll have to wait and see what comes out of it. So look, let's go to the chat here and get some questions and comments and kind of bounce off from there, especially if I missed anything. All right, so throw your questions. Clearly, any super chats will get thrown up immediately on the screen, but feel free to throw any in here. All right, we got Mads here. It says, I did not hear anything about subpoena power. They would definitely need this to crack through the Stonewall. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know if I heard anything about that either, but she did bring up like the part about collaboration, and these people want to get these answers to and kind of get this out into the public. And she kind of even made it sound like we want to, you know, debunk any conspiracy theories as well, right? Like get rid of the nonsense, which I'm actually for, right? But could they use that as a way to slip in, you know, blue book style? But good point. Oh man. Okay. I know I'm missing. Yeah, if you put your questions in all caps, I will definitely. Jake says, she stated, we are not alone. Did you catch it? She did say that. I think she said she wants to find out if we're not alone, right? Like, I don't know. Why were the questions quieter than the CIA is when we asked them about UFOs? Well, I couldn't hear any of the questions. I could hear sort of some of the, you know, most of the questions, but some near the end I couldn't hear. If mentioning UAP and USO, why not include UFO? Well, UAP is kind of all of it. In fact, she could have just used UAP to include USOs, right? Because those are just flying. Yeah, it is weird to distinguish, to be honest with you, because UAP is just unidentified anomalous phenomena. That's anywhere and everywhere, right? I don't know. It's one of those things. Who knows? The task force website should get interesting. Yeah, that's interesting if they will have a task force or a website. Why is Luna not prioritizing UAP? This is way more important than JFK. I don't know. It could be just low hanging fruit. It's right there, right? The focus is there. They found these files, right? Like it's right there. That could be the case. It's hard to tell. Again, it's hard to tell if everything is going all at once or they're just taking turns with different, this month it's, JFK. Then next month is March 9/11. They look into 9/11 on March. I don't know. Did she say two-shooter? She did. She was talking about JFK. Yeah. Todd says, I wonder if the SAP access will preclude them from being able to talk. That's, these are all the roadblocks that get brought up when it comes to our own government investigating our own government, right? I don't know. She did make it seem like, nah, they're going to have no problem. And if there is some pushback, we'll go to Comer, right? We'll make something happen. It's bigger than aliens as it includes other topics as well as aliens. Yeah, absolutely. It's just, they're going after everything here. I don't care about JFK. We already know that he was whacked by corrupt government. We want to know about the UAP stuff. Oh, well, that's out of the way. They should put you on the task force. You're solving problems left and right. That's funny. Will she release videos or photos of proof of UAP or USO? That's interesting. What sort of evidence could they release through their office, through this task force? That's interesting. That's actually a good. That's a good point. If she distinguishes USO, she knows enough to investigate them separate. Yeah, there's definitely a reason to separate them. What that is, I don't know. Let's give her a chance before complaining. Absolutely. We got to wait and see what comes of this. I mean, it's more than what we had before this announcement. Even if it just does one little thing, it's better than nothing. Something's going to come out of this. Things are going to come out of this. It will change things without a doubt. In what way? I don't know. How much, impact will it have? I don't know. And I'm specifically talking about UAP only. Let's remove the other investigations this task force is going to do. Whatever they do with UAP is more than what we had. So it will be good, in my opinion. And she seems like she really wants to get down with it. Is that the way? Is that what the kids say? Down with it. I don't know. I'm kind of pleasantly optimistic about this, to be honest with you. It will bring some sort of clarity, something to the table, something. Benjamin Fay says, do you think this administration will get us some clarity on the truth around UAPs? Well, I just said that. Yes, I think there will be some clarity. What that is, I don't know, but clearly it's going to open up another avenue for whistleblowers, another avenue for, information about UAPs to get to them, right? And specifically them, where they're focused on bringing that out, right? So in a way, I mean, the task force is good. It could become, depending on how much involvement the public had, this and that, their office may determine, hey, we need to dedicate 50% of the pie to UAP, and the other 50% gets split up between the other stuff, because we're getting so much information about UAPs. We're getting so many whistleblowers coming to us, right? Like that will help determine it too, if that makes sense, right? How much pressure and, the public gets involved with this task force will determine how much that office spends on it. I mean, that's the truth. And so I imagine UAP will actually get quite a bit of attention to their task force, and it could end up becoming the biggest part of what they do. And again, I'm still a little confused on what exactly it's going to do. Is the idea, again, I'm still a little confused. We're gonna have to wait and see what comes of it. I think it's just to bring out information, right? Have these hearings, this information comes out, goes on the record, I guess. Oh man, I'm so behind on comments, y'all. My bad. What if they start to see that these events, conspiracies, if you want, whatever you want to put them, are connected, right? Like, yeah, that would be interesting. So, you know what? I just thought of something. I'm sure there will be a website of some sort, because people will be able to contribute, right? And to contact them. So I'm sure something will come up with something like that, where they'll be able to contribute. This is a good question. Will the task force allow or consume data from sources like MUFON and NewFork? That's a great question. I don't know, but that is a good question, to be honest. Telekinetic says, thank you, Telekinetic, by the way. Public researchers like Pat are super important. If SCIFs are blocked, use content to force government to address why, request interviews, etc. Thoughts? Okay, I see what you're saying. If SCIFs are blocked, use content to force government to address why, then request interviews, etc. I mean, yeah, there's definitely ways around. You know what I mean? There's definitely ways around that, potentially. Again, it all just depends on her power to get information, and if she knows where to get that information, right? It's like a dog, sniffing across the ground, and if they don't find the thing they're sniffing for, they don't know where to dig. They don't start digging, right? And they would have to know there's something there, right? So if it becomes Luna can confirm there's information that she can't get access to, that's one type of fight. The other fight is, I'm trying to just get access. I can't, but I don't know if there's anything behind the door, right? It's like Al Capone's vault, right? It's like, is there anything behind? So those are two different scenarios, and that's what trips up UAP, right? It's that fight, right? But if you know there's something there and you can't get access, that's one of those things that I don't see Luna being able to let that go, essentially. And anyone around her in her sphere that becomes aware of that as well, and anyone part of the task force, right? And could this task force grow if it's effective, right? This could be very interesting. I'm curious to see how something like this, how effective it is. And what other task force in the past that are similar to this, what has their effectiveness been? I don't know enough about the history of government and these sort of things to know that, but that would be interesting facts to find out. Yeah, has anything like this for UAP been done? No, not that I know of. I can't think of anything. Android, what's up, brother? Do you have a preference for who is the ranking Democrat co-chair? I vote Jared Moskowitz. We need his funny, sharp wit. Yeah, great call. I think Jared would make a perfect co-chair, and they're very friendly. Jared was also retweeting her stuff, and they're constantly joking back and forth on Twitter, and they clearly get along. Yeah, and Jared's all about the UAP topic, right? It's not like Luna's been this big 9/11 truther, or she's been this big this that UAP, right? That's what she's kind of known for outside of what her regular sort of passions are, right? And I think a lot is actually going to be dedicated to UAP more than anything. I think that will be the number one thing. And I think JFK right off the bat for sure. But again, they separated UAP and USO, which might be interesting because it kind of doubles it up. By separating it like that, maybe you're allotting more time to it. Does that make sense? If you're splitting up the duties in the office, now you've got USO and UAP, right? It's kind of doubles it up. So maybe that was her move to begin with. And to differentiate when they ask for information from these places, right? By putting UAP and USO, maybe they know that that's what they need to ask for. So that's interesting. Great question, Android. Yeah, I wonder if they'll follow up with Grush and that kind of stuff, right? Seems like the perfect opportunity to jump on with Grush and get the task force of, hey, where'd you say to go? Let's go there. A flash of beauty, Bigfoot revealed. Oh, I love this. Bigfoot needs to be addressed. They are real, and their existence ties into the UAP phenomena. What are your thoughts? I've heard that as well. Thank you for the super chat. That looks interesting. Is that, I guess maybe you have a trailer or something going on here? I don't know. But yeah, Bigfoot's always super interesting. I interviewed a cryptozoologist one time. I wish I could remember his name. Pretty big and, Bigfoot and all that. Yeah, I mean, I'm all about it. And it definitely connects to UAP. I've heard through lots of different people, different scenarios, different stories of how it connects. Would they bring that up in this task force? I don't think so. That's why it's UAP and USO, right? Not UFOs and Bigfoot. Because just optically, I think for them, they would just be like, no. But yeah, no, I hear you. Absolutely. And I'm sure if you came to our Discord chat, you'd have a lot of people wanting to talk to you about Bigfoot for sure. Appreciate the super chat. Do you think that they are steering the conspiracy communities away from the really BS that's going on? If I was a bad president, that's what I would do. I mean, it is interesting to put all these conspiracies under one task force, and then because that's how it's going to be touted: fringe conspiracy task force, right? Like I can already see the headlines, right? And again, it may be used to, hey, 9/11, nope, everything's fine. We checked it out. Transparency task force checked it out. It's all good, right? Like UAP, we checked it out. It's all good. Nothing to see here, right? Like it could be used as a way to dismiss some of these things, but at the same time, they could be right. There is nothing there. Every conspiracy can't be true, but every conspiracy can't be not true, right? There's got to be some that are, right? That's the whole point. And that's interesting, right? Because it's like, which ones? And clearly with UAP, something is going on, right? So, but yeah, we will have to wait and see, y'all. So, I think it's just going to take some time before we see any movement on this that's UAP related, but I could be wrong. I think the first announcement will be this sort of website to get people involved, maybe share more of their mission, that sort of thing, blah, 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 right? And then from there, there's supposed to be a hearing in March. I think, again, it could be focused on JFK mostly. And we'll just have to wait and see. Clearly, I'll keep everyone updated here on the channel of any movement that's UAP related to that. But yeah, it was a short press conference, but straight and to the point. Honestly, to the point. I kind of appreciate that. All right, Vegas Ren says, I wonder about the position Lou Elizondo was hinting about on the Julian Dory podcast, and if this task force means that job will not be happening. Well, that's interesting. The UAP czar, right, that was thrown out. That's a good point. That's kind of a good point. Yeah, probably will not be happening, that position. It seems like the task force will just take care of it, right? Now, how involved will the task force be with UAP-related members, right? Because if you remember the hearings, Congress, all these UAP hearings, they're heavily involved with people behind the scenes, people that we all know in the community, right? Heavily involved with them on getting witnesses and talking about this stuff. Like, how involved will this task force want to be with some of these UFO personalities that are out there right now, right? But yeah, great question, and I think you're right. I think that job will not be happening now. So great point. I didn't even think of that, to be honest. Yeah. All right, y'all. Why don't y'all throw in last questions here? I'm going to go 5 more minutes. And we'll go from there. Any last questions, throw them in. Otherwise, I'm bouncing off. Okay, here we go. Con. If transparency about JFK is this first hearing's goal, I wonder if they will mention Kennedy's letter about unknowns to the CIA director a half a week before his assassination, November 12th, 1963. Good point. I don't know. Someone would have to want to bring it up, right, in the hearing. Like someone, I don't think it would necessarily come from the task force unless that was part of the documents, right? I don't know. It's a good point. How much will they try to control what comes out, right? Is the idea just to bring out everything? I don't know. But I definitely would love to see that question get asked. Yeah, it's going to be interesting how these hearings go. I think we'll get an indication the first hearing they have of how a UAP related one would happen. But maybe not. Maybe they'll also change it after that. Maybe they're all different. I don't know. Josh Crow. What's up, Josh? My DM to you on our Discord is still in red months later because I know you're busy. Space Crow 77 on there. Peace, love, blessings to you and your family, brother, from your fellow Texan here in DFW. Right on, man. Yeah. DM. I don't know. I don't know if I have a DM from you. But I'll check. Especially since you spent $10 to tell me about it. I will definitely check. You owed that as much. Texas strong. All right, guys. Well, feel free to watch the press conference on repeat if you want. We'll find out more as this unfolds, and I will make sure to keep everyone updated on any UAP related matters to this task force. Again, not sure when it's going to get going, right? When it's going to be popping. So, all right, y'all. Thank y'all for watching. Make sure to hit that like button on your way out. And if you haven't subscribed already, what are you doing? I put out new videos every single day, UFO related, multiple videos a day, y'all. In fact, I'm going to go work on another one, and we'll keep it going. Thank y'all so much for watching. Thank you to all the mods. Thank you to all the vetters watching. Really appreciate it. We'll see you guys on the next one. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all.
inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through eyes covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep.